The views and opinions expressed on this show are those of the host and guests and not necessarily the opinions of the owners of Global Communications Network and the operators of
Today can be the turning point in your life by making a simple decision.
Fundamental questions of navigation. Where am I? Where am I going? And how do I get there from here?
I invite the leaders of our planet to ask themselves these three questions before they make any crucial decisions.
But if you don't make decisions, you're going to stay right where you are.
We are all map makers.
We are in a time of transition.
If we're going to change, we have to change the direction that we're going.
Our planet needs leaders who know where they want to go.
When we change the direction we're going, then we want to make sure we're going in the right direction.
Leaders who can see the big picture.
Because if we're not, we're going to either go backwards or we're going to stay where we are.
Recognizing the psychological and the spiritual shifts and changes that need to be made, often from the inside to the outside.
To be able to shape your future, you have to be willing and able to change your paradigm.
Complex journeys require navigation. The path to the truth is one such journey. This is your GPS. Hairstyling services provided by J.D. Edwards Salon and Spa, Palmdale Shopping Plaza, Madera Street. Accessories provided by Chevette Williamson Jewelry. Standout jewelry for standout women.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to GPS Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. I'm your host, Michelle Malcolm, and in case you're wondering what's up with this background where I am today, I'm actually going to be broadcasting from home today and for the next several days because I have been diagnosed with COVID. Can you believe it? And yeah, so I will obviously be broadcasting from home for a bit as I am in quarantine. And I just want to say that I feel fine. I just have little fluish, symptoms. And if it weren't for the insistence of Michelle White, who kept saying, Michelle, you need to go get tested. You need to go get tested. I finally go, okay, I'll get tested. And the results came back as positive. So I will be broadcasting from home for the next several days while I'm in quarantine. And, the show must continue. So get used to this background, y'all, because this is where I'm going to be coming from for the next several days. So now that that is out of the way, I'm calling the show today From Boys to Men. And I'm calling it that because today is the World Day of the Boy Child. And this is a day when the boy child is being celebrated around the world with the idea that we need to pay special attention to our boys. Because, we do talk a lot on the show, especially about protecting girls and women, but boys are important as well. And so this is what we're going to be talking about on the show today, the boy child. And joining me on this show today is Elder Dave Williams and Bishop Sanford Roll. Now, Bishop Sanford Roll, let me bring them into the, let's bring them into the stream. There you go. And I see Dave Williams has two. Okay, let me try and bring him in on the other one. There you go. Okay, we got everybody here, right? Gentlemen, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I can cut off one of these devices right now.
Okay. Okay, welcome to GPS to you both. Bishop Sanford Roll is a member of the Church of God Cathedral, where he's an associate minister. And he serves as National Boys Ministries Coordinator for the Church of God Bahamas, comprising 20 sites and over 300 boys ages 6 to 17. And He is also a site leader for the Church of God Cathedral, East Street, and Lily of the Valley Corner, a member of the Church of God Life Builders Men's Ministry, member of the International Men's Day Planning Team, certified community service and hospital chaplain, and he's married to Denise Rowe for the past 31 years, and they're blessed with 2 fine sons, Sanford Jr. and Sanchez, 1 daughter-in-law, Veronica. Welcome to you, sir, to GPS.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you. And Elder Dave Williams, who is no stranger to our show, he trying to find your bio. Here it is. Okay, so Elder Dave Williams is host of the radio program Transforming Lives on Global 99.5 FM, and board member for Prison Fellowship Bahamas with responsibility for programs, and member of International Men's Day Bahamas Committee, trainer in gender-based violence and sexual violence prevention, parenting, anger management, and conflict resolution, and motivational speaker. Welcome to you.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be back again.
All right, so I have to tell you guys, in preparation for today's show, went searching for a video, because you know how I do the show, Elder Dave. I would find videos that, you know, speak to what it is that we're talking about, and you know, pull those clips to play.
Yes.
I searched high and low. I couldn't find one video on YouTube talking about this day. And I thought to myself, wow, this is not good. Because I found videos of International Day of this and International Day of the next. And I mean, everything you could think of, I was able to quickly find. But this particular topic, I was shocked. So it tells me, I know we hear the complaints all the time when you're talking about Father's Day. They say, the only thing you get for Father's Day is crab and rice, right? That people don't pay attention to fathers like that. Well, I sort of, when I couldn't find one video, I'm like, okay, this is not right. That to me spoke volumes. That spoke volumes. So this is clearly something that we need to collectively pay more attention to, because the bottom line is this. You can't, I'm trying to find that thing that you sent me, Pastor Elder Dave, to read that. It says, here it is. Boys who are verbally abused cannot suddenly develop into men who praise and comfort others. Likewise, a precious infant or teenage boy who is sexually and physically abused cannot develop into a normal, functioning adult. Bottom line is this. We have to pay more attention to our boys, because those boys will become men. And we have been so vocal about complaining about the men in our nation not taking their rightful place and not doing this and not doing that. But yet we ignoring the boys.
Yes.
So let's talk about this, because I was shocked that I couldn't find one video. I'm like, man, this ain't good. This ain't good. So let's talk about it, gentlemen, about the work that you do and why it's so important that we pay attention to boys with the idea of uplifting them and empowering them so that they can become better men.
I'll let Bishop go first.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Miss Malcolm, for the invitation. And it's so good to see you. I've been following you on Facebook, but I have not been able to catch up with you since you sort of shuffled around.
But you know where to catch me now.
I know where you are now. I know where you are now. And so it's so good to see you. And so, yes, and you started out talking about the difficulty that you had in finding something positive about this date. But I put it to you, if you go now and look for something negative.
Oh, I'll find plenty of that.
Something negative. And so that is one of the reasons why this day is celebrated. It's about uplifting, highlighting, putting focus on those boys that are doing something positive, that are making valuable contributions. I put it to you, Ms. Malcolm, that the vast majority of our men and boys are going in the right direction. But that won't sell in the media.
Okay.
And
but in all fairness, when I say I couldn't find one video, I'm not talking local, you know. I'm talking YouTube searching, because that's where I normally find my clips from. So this isn't just a problem in the Bahamas.
I agree. Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I just wanted to throw that in there.
Yes, I understood clearly what you meant when you even opened the show and talked about that. I know you meant globally.
Right.
And so we are in a, one of the brothers said on another show that we had yesterday that we're in a crisis. And of course, we are in a crisis. But I believe that there, and both Pastor Dave and myself, we are men of faith. And so in the midst of the crisis and the darkness that seem to be looming as it relates to men and boys, we believe that there is hope and there is some light in the darkness. And the boys that we work with in our different organizations, we believe that if we continue to pour into them, and not only that, if we continue to reach out into the various communities that we work and minister in, we believe that we will see a change happening in that nation. I know it's difficult to believe that with what we see happening, but we are believers.
You know what I want to say when it comes to, and I let Bishop speak simply because Bishop's has more time, I call it, invested with the boys, whereas I focus more on the men, the older men. Right. But nevertheless, I still do some work with the Boys and Girls School as well as with the various schools as a part of Prison Fellowship Bahamas. For me, in spite of all the negative, Michelle, I always begin, as a matter of fact, I always use the positive. That's how I got involved in prison ministries. And so for me, I look at the fact that quite a number of men, 93% incarcerated today. And I have to look at it. What could I do? What could, as an organization, what could we do as a preventative measure? And even as we celebrate the World Day of the Boy Child, and we have an event planned for later on, hope the rain holds up at the Salem Park in Taylor Street. We have a number of persons who are heavily involved in violence and other things. As a matter of fact, to the extent where they were incarcerated. And they're going to be our speakers along with another youth speaker. So we're putting this program on as a preventative measure. We're doing our part so that before, and that's why we're targeting the primary school, because we want to be able to get them at a stage where the minds, the hearts can be shaped and molded. And so this is why we're reaching out to the boys. So I just simply say, all is not lost and a lot of good is happening.
All right, let's talk about the theme of this year's World Day. It is boosting optimism, restoring self-worth, saving our boys from shadows. It's a very powerful theme. What does that theme mean to you, gentlemen?
I'm going to start from the bottom and come up. We like to deal with foundations.
Okay.
And so I'm going to start from the bottom, come up, saving our boys from the shadows. For years now, we have had this gloom over our nation where our boys are put to the back. We are overshadowed sometime by or many times by girls and girls advocates, and so we believe that it's time for us to begin to highlight. When we say saving the boys from the shadows, we're talking about highlighting those boys that are doing positive stuff. We could rant and rage about all the negative things that are happening with boys and men. But I think it's time for us to bring to the light boys that are doing good things. I run an organization where we have boys that are doing well. They're making good contributions to their community, in their family. They are making the contribution. They are obeying their parents. They are following orders, and they're doing the good things that boys should do. However, because of the societal ills and the stuff that happens in our communities, some of our boys have gone astray. But we believe that we have the mandate, we have the answers, and it lies with us as men. We have to now step up to the plate. We can no longer depend on the women and mothers to carry the burden. In fact, we know that over the years, that have also changed in our nation. When years ago, during my childhood, our childhood, let me put it like that, our mothers were at home. When we got out of school, mother was home with dinner prepared. She could help us with homework and the likes, and ensure that we continue to be the positive boys and girls that we should be. However, with the emerging of and the turn of the economy in the Bahamas and around the world, we've seen that change, that dynamic change, where everyone is out to work now. Everybody is trying to get the mighty dollar, and so we leave our children out to the wolves, especially our boys. I know it's normally said that girls, I know we try to keep our girls inside and we train them and teach them, but our boys also need to be trained and teach. And again, we hear it over and over again. It takes a man to raise a boy. And so we need men to get positive men to get involved in the lives of our boys, pour into them, connect with them, and let us do our best to turn this thing back in the right direction as it relates to our boys. And so bringing them out of the shadow means beginning to put those boys in the limelight. Even if they do small things, small chores and small accomplishments, let's begin to put them in the highlights. Let's no longer push our boys that are not academically inclined in our classrooms, push them to the back of the room. We need to reward them for the small accomplishments that they are making.
Interestingly, that you would say that it takes a man to raise a boy. This is something that I often say, not to say that women cannot raise good human beings, because, my God, 71% of the households in this country are led by single women.
Yes,
and many of them don't have the support from a male to help to raise their sons. And many of them are doing a good job as best as they can.
yes.
But I always say that as a woman, you are coming from the perspective of a woman. You don't know what it is to be a man. And so, not to say that you can't do a good job raising your son, but he still needs positive male influences in his life to teach him what it is to be a good man from a male perspective, not from a female perspective. But this is a challenge in this nation. Let's face it, 71% of our households, single parent homes, we don't live in the reality anymore that moms are able to stay at home, because most of them are the sole breadwinner in the household. So if they don't go out and work, everybody's starved.
Yes.
So how much then do we need men to step up to the plate to try to adopt maybe families where there may not be a male figure in the home? These kids need that positive male influence as well. What needs to happen on a national scale for that to happen?
You know, for me, some years ago, when Sir Lyndon came up with the idea of a national, I can't remember what he called it, national cadet, you know, that was knocked down.
National
And
service.
National, right. Because I can recall I was a young man at BEC then. And I can remember a number of the older persons were saying, the older men, oh, y'all want to join Pinland Army? I didn't pass the age, because I think at that time the age was 35, he was exempted if he was over 35. But the point is, we criticize it, and my belief is that had that been implemented then, and we're talking about going way back to 1986, I believe if that was implemented then, we would not have been in the situation we are in today. But nevertheless, we still have a number of positive organizations like Bishop Stanford will talk about. You have the Pathfinders, you have the Boys Brigade, you have the Scouts, you know, and a number of other youth organization. And so what do we do to get back? We need more organizations in terms of adopting or being mentors to boys. You have the Boys Club with Sammy Roll, you have Apostle Henry Higgins. So you have Carlos Reed, you have numerous men organization, and there's a call now for even more. We need more churches to adopt more boys. And so that's how we're going to turn it around. But in terms of with the single fathers in the home, I think a part of it has to do with there has to be more encouragement for the men, because when you find situations where there's absentee males in the home, part of the reason is because there are some cases where there's some negative influence from the men, but they're also part of the reason where there has to be dealing with the various conflicts that are in the home. And we also, and some of the ladies got to have a part in terms of the responsibility. What has now happened is the home has changed because there's this economic push. So now, because we have now become more, to use the word, thingsy, we're no longer settled for basic necessities, two people coming together and working as one. And as a result of it, you now find both persons out of the home. We're not satisfied with the basic home, car, and all of this. We want more. So you find now as a result of it, and even in the homes where they're two parent, now both of them out there, both of them hustling, both of them working. And as a result of it, the children, and we talk about our boys, are being left to grow up on their own. And the last point is we have to get back to the moral values that we grew up with. We have gone away from them, and now we are reaping the consequences.
Okay. One of the things that the document that you sent me says is that as human beings, we have a responsibility to protect other vulnerable and weak human beings, a responsibility to protect those who cannot defend themselves, the voiceless. The duty of protecting and saving our boys and girls should not be restricted to a moral, ethical, or religious issue. It should be our natural instinct to protect and save. Where has that natural instinct gone?
Again, Pastor Dave alluded to the fact that we have gone after things. We have gone after things. And so we have lost that natural instinct to care for our children like we should, to give them the attention that they need so that they grow up in stable environments. And because we have gone after things and have left and abdicated our responsibilities as parents, and we gotta put some of the blame back to the homes, back to our homes, how we grow up our children, how we rear our children, the type of time that we spend with children. Some people sometimes would allude to the fact that children label love as time. They label love as time. And so you may be able to provide, the Nintendo and the Game Boy and all of that stuff. At the end of the day, if you have not invested your time with that child, that child can still wind up going in the wrong direction, because God has given us the responsibility as parents to bring up our children in the fear of the Lord. That's not the responsibility of the church, the school, other civic organizations, that's not their responsibility. We, of course, we have the primary responsibility for our children. I know we live in a society now where even some of our children have lost their parents at early age. And of course, in those cases, those of us that are involved in community life ought to step up. And there's still the old adage, it takes a village to raise a child. All of that is all good in its context. But at the same time, the core values of life and living and relationships ought to come out of our home and then mirror out in the community. And so I believe it starts there, back to home life.
Right. Okay. El, do you want to add anything to that before we take this break?
No, for me, no, that's okay.
Okay, so let's take a break. When we come back on the other side of the break, we're going to continue the conversation with Elder David Williams and Sanford Rhodes Sr. We're talking today, Boys to Men, on this, the World Day of the Boy Child 2022 edition, being held under the theme, Boosting Optimism, Restoring Self-Worth, Saving Our Boys from Shadows. We're going to talk about those shadows on the other side of the break. Stay with us. You're watching GPS.
Understanding your microbiome, also known as your gut ecosystem, can change everything you thought you knew about nutrition, digestion, immunity, and metabolism. Keeping your gut ecosystem healthy and balanced is essential. Ultimate Microbiome by Youngevity was specifically formulated to optimize this ecosystem. It provides the advanced support your gut needs through prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic supplementation. Our unique blend of probiotics includes Lactobacillus and Plantarum, healthy bacteria that can help prevent harmful bacteria from taking over your gut. Increasing your gut's population of beneficial bacteria creates a more balanced gut microbiome, which has been shown to aid in weight loss, skin health, sleep, mood, and may even help with seasonal allergies. Ultimate Microbiome also promotes the production of postbiotics. Postbiotics are key to help regulate your gastrointestinal health. To enhance digestion, Digizyme Multi-Enzyme Complex, a blend of 5 specific enzymes, has been added to Ultimate Microbiome. It can help break down food so your body can better absorb nutrients. Plus, we've added our proprietary I-26 Hyperimmune Egg Powder to aid in the elimination of disease-causing gut bacteria and help your body balance its immune response. Ultimate Microbiome, the scientific, proprietary, and holistic approach to gut health that helps optimize your body's entire gut ecosystem. To learn more, contact your Youngevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for rims, tints, and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Tracklight, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires, cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Glasses love.
To stay healthy, it's crucial to make sure you get the nutrition you need every day. But it's difficult to get all your recommended vitamins and minerals from food alone. Even in the United States, 94% of people are deficient in at least one nutrient. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 by Youngevity is a simple, convenient, and affordable way to help your body get the essential nutrients it needs. It's an advanced plant-driven multivitamin mineral complex that contains certified organic whole foods, trace minerals, and antioxidants. BTT 2.0 supports your body's natural defense system with a proprietary blend of energy-boosting and body-loving nutrients, plus prebiotics, probiotics, amino acids, and enzymes that support digestion. With an unusually high ORAC score of 8,000, you get even more antioxidants to help combat free radicals that can cause damage to your cells. But to get the most benefit and value from any multivitamin, your body must be able to break down the nutrients so you can fully absorb them. Otherwise, they'll just pass through your system without doing any good. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 was specially formulated with synergizing cofactors to ensure you get maximum nutrient absorption. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 is the easiest way to give your body the balance and complete daily vitamin mineral supplement it needs for optimal support of your overall health. To learn more, contact your Youngevity associate.
This portion of GPS is brought to you by Tiki Bikini Hut at Junkanoo Beach. Great food, cool tropical drinks, and family fun in the sun.
Welcome back to GPS Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. Michelle Malcolm here, along with Bishop Sanford Rhodes Sr. and Elder David Williams. We're talking the World Day of the Boy Child, 2022 edition, under the theme Boosting Optimism, Restoring Self-Worth, Saving Our Boys from Shadows. I'm calling this show Boys to Men. Now, it says here, observers of the World of the Boy Child, observers of the World Day of the Boy Child salute those boys who are struggling to survive. Let's stick a pin in that right there and talk about the struggle that some boys are facing just to survive.
Yes, ma'am. The struggle is real. The struggle is real. And so there are a number of boys, and we witness it on a daily basis as we move around this nation. We see boys come in as early as I've seen a young boy as early as, I think this boy is probably 8 or 9 years old, and he goes out to work every day.
Wow.
Yes, he goes out to work. When he isn't in school, he is in the food store working. Young chap. And I could see, I could witness that he is hustling. He is on the hustle. And I believe that is the case in a whole lot of boys in our community, because they have to care for themselves. Albeit some of them even have the responsibility to have to provide for their families. And so the struggle is real out there. There are some boys have to go out and make a living for their families. I think there's a law in the Bahamas that prevents children from that type of labor. But the reality is, what else can they do? The parents are not doing what they are being mandated to do, and in some cases, they may have parents that are trying their best. They're unemployed and all the other rest of stuff that they must go to. And the only thing that they can resort to is to send their boy out to do a packing job or something else so that they can have some kind of income come into the family. And so those are the type of struggles that our boys are facing economically in our society. And then on the other hand, are they receiving, and I said this on another show today, Ms. Malcolm, they are being pushed to the back in school. And so they are degraded because they're not living up to the standard. Because they got to go out to work, they are not meeting the standard of the school curriculum or what is demanded of them in the school arena. And so they are pushed to the back. And so now they feel left out in that area. But they at the end of the day, they got to go out and make the hustle. I put it to you that we have to now begin to shift things around so those boys that may not be academically inclined, that they will get some attention. We need to change our whole system.
Go ahead. I was about to say struggling to survive, and this is a part of the reason why a number of the boys gravitate towards the gangs, because they have a sense of security, they have a sense of being provided for, classic example. I think of one of our speakers who talked about who's involved in prison ministry. So where he talked about how he started out as a young boy, coming up from a family of poverty. The economic situation wasn't the best, so it's all about survival. He lost his mother at a young age, and so he congregated towards the guy selling the drugs, and he became an errand boy for them. That's how he made a little $1 or $2, and naturally he graduated to selling a half bag, and eventually got to the point where he, started overseas, and then he got locked up in federal prison. But the point is, so survival is the economic situation now pushes them towards gangs and all the other negative things, and where the stealing and all of this stuff, because at the end of the day, it's all about, for them, it's all about survival. On the other hand, the young boys who gravitate towards working, it's a plus, because what they do now, what has happened to them, these principles of working is instilled in them at a very early age, and that's a plus. So struggling to survive has a lot to do with the economic situation that they find themselves in today.
It's also very scary as I'm listening to you both. The thing that crossed my mind, that to me is very concerning, is that you're talking about boys who are very vulnerable because of the economic situation that they find themselves in, no fault of their own. And whereas some of them have turned to work, many of them are in danger of being preyed upon. Yeah. And I'm not talking in terms of the gangs or lawlessness. I'm talking about, you have some unscrupulous people out there who would seek to take advantage of these boys. Sexual predators, for instance, who would understand the vulnerability of these children and try to take advantage of that just to gain access to them. Are we seeing that in this country? And is this something that we need to be concerned about?
Most definitely. Most definitely. Those that is one of the things that I particularly guard my boys against. Mm-hmm. I'm very concerned about that in our nation. And the sad thing is, Michelle, is they're being preyed upon from men. Mm-hmm. They're being preyed upon from grown men.
Yes.
Looking for young boys to take advantage of. But we as caregivers, and those of us that have given responsibility, we have to watch those boys with eagle eyes. I mean, one time ago, the only person that, when it came to gender, that you had to be concerned about or being raped or being molested was the girls. Mm-hmm. And now we have the same scenario with our boys. And so we have to be careful. We have to watch our boys. We have to guard against these predators. I tell you, I make it clear to those volunteers that work in our program, that is a part of our core values. We make it explicitly clear. If you are not sure that you are a man that desire woman only, please find something else to do. Don't come into my program. Because the day you touch one of these boys, it could be a problem. It could be a movie somebody is saying.
My goodness.
Yes, ma'am, I'm a bishop in the church. But I try to guard those boys from these predators.
Yeah, I in agreeing with you, because I can remember what you really triggered just now. I can remember many years ago, I was approached by someone downtown, a gentleman, and he told me to come go with him. He used to come buy me whatever I want. And so I went and told my cousin, and then my cousin went to look for him, so by the time my cousin went to look for him, he had disappeared. But that's what is amazingly, I haven't remembered that now for so many years, but that was the trigger just now, what reminded me. So yes, they are exposed, they are vulnerable. And so this is why it's so important that we have the fathers figures, and even the mothers, because when we look at it today, talking about the sexual predators, when we look at, in our days, we didn't have the young man, you couldn't be out in the night, wandering the streets. And you wonder, where's the parents? Why is it that these young boys all about this hour of the night, whereas, that couldn't happen in our time? So these are some of the risks that they are exposed to, the sexual predators, when they're out there in the night and away from their home place.
Unfortunate that this is the world that we live in today. If you'd like to join us in the conversation, the telephone number to call 3260271, 3260271, or our WhatsApp line to send us a message, not to call, but to message us, 824-9952. 824-9952 is the WhatsApp line. So again, the number to call if you have a question or comment, 3260271, and our WhatsApp line is 824-9952. Now, in spite of all of the negative things that could possibly happen to these at-risk boys, yet there are those who are able to make it through that maze and make something of their lives and become the positive influence that they may not have necessarily had in their lives. How does that happen, and how do we make more of that happen?
Yeah, and that is exactly what this day is all about.
Mm-hmm.
While we could look back and see all the difficulties that we are faced with and the challenges, the risk of our boys and all of the kind of stuff that we must grapple with to keep them safe, we recognize that there are a whole lot. In fact, I put it to you that the vast majority of our boys and men are going in the right direction. And so today is about highlighting those boys that are doing positive things, praising them, lifting them up, encouraging them, rewarding them for the little things that they do. I've taken on, Sister Michelle, a mantra in our program where we reward boys for just showing up. They don't have to do anything. They don't have to accomplish anything. Their accomplishment is just showing up to Boys Club meeting. And so we reward them for that. And so we start there. And every time they make an accomplishment, if we finish a skill, and that's what the core thingam of our program is, that we teach them life skills. Teach them plumbing, carpentry, mechanics, how to change a tire, how to change oil in the car, those sort of stuff. And while we are doing that, this is something that I've learned over the last, I really studied the boy child over the last 4 years. I've been studying the boy child intently, and I found out, Sister Michelle, that boys need to be active. Most of them, yes, we have some of those boys, the exception to the rule, that are focused on academics, and you could just sit them to the table and they'll stay there for hours and just study and study and study. But I put it to you that the vast majority of boys learn best by activity. They learn best by activity. And so it's been our experience that while we are teaching the boy how to change a car tire and how to change oil, that we teach them the things that God wants them to do. We teach them the word of God. We will take a scripture and we will repeat that scripture while we are changing the tire. We're talking about how our lives ought to be changed. We may get a flat in life, and how we can use the example of changing a tire, of how sometimes we need to change the way we think, the way how we operate, so that we can continue to run, we can continue to move forward in our lives. And so boys, those boys, they learn most by these type of activities. And so that is the thing that we need to focus on. The boys that are making the positive contribution, and reward them, celebrate them for what they are accomplishing.
And one of the things I want to say, as I was talking about, Bishop mentioned the event we have today, and I'm glad as we look outside, the rain has held up, and so we're still hoping all will be well. If not, we may have to go live on Zoom, but we have speakers coming in, going to share some positive things, going to share their experience, and all of this is a part of the preventative measure. Because after 20 years of inside the prison, Michelle, and I've seen so many young men there, we want to look at a preventative measure Prison Fellowship has done a shift itself. We're going into the schools and reaching out. We have a program that we run at the Boys and Girls School because we want to look at preventative measures, reaching these boys before they become teenagers, before they become men. And I think that will go a long way. We're not giving up on those who are at a mature age, no. But what we're saying is, let's target these ones young. And I agree with Bishop. Let's stay away from the academics. Michelle, I went to CC Sweeting, was not top in the academics, but I went along the line of electrical, did the electrical at CC Sweeting, went into Taylor's Industries, an electrical company, and then to BEC. So imagine what would have happened if I was still pushed along the academic level. I could have been a high school dropout. I could have had my struggles. But the fact that I was in a technical class, as a result of it, I am who I am today. So yes, we could identify early, whether it's academic or technical, push them in that direction. I believe that's a step in the right direction to transform and to change things.
Okay, we have a caller on the line. Caller, welcome to GPS.
A pleasant good afternoon, Michelle, and good afternoon to your guest.
Good afternoon.
Good evening.
My name is Reverend Samuel Rose, President of the Boys Club of the Bahamas. And I compliment your speakers this afternoon. But one of the most important things that we are lacking in our society today is the mentorship of fatherhood. Every boy in the life needs a man in his life. And if you can identify with some of our kids, then we are in trouble. Working with these young boys from 1998 to now, and I have a membership of 1,275 boys in the World School under Family Island, that we need to pull together to mentor our boys. Most of these kids come and don't have a father figure. Sometimes some of the boys will call me Mrs. Role, but then I understand that in the home is the missus, in church is the missus, in school is the missus. And that's what we're lacking, that mentorship with our young boys to make sure they understand who they are in life. And that's what we have to work with our young men. And so today, as they celebrate the boy child, I celebrate with them. But if we need to bend ourselves together and work together as collaborative association in the Bahamas of men, sometimes our men don't know who they are. And that's the problem. So you get the men, you will get the boys. And that's what we're going to work with. And that's what I feel we should do as a community. You get the men, you get the boys, you get the parents. But we need to work together because our parents need leadership and mentorship also.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much for calling.
God be upon you.
Thank you. Gentlemen, you want to respond to that caller?
Yeah, most definitely. My good friend, Brother Sammy Roll, and thank you for calling. Most definitely, we need to work together as community groups, as parents and children. And again, I think for most of us that work with boys ministries, in particular, we ensure that parents are involved. I mean, we make it a practice not to do anything without the involvement of our parents, because we believe that while we are doing what we're doing, we can help those parents to be better parents as well, because we run programs also that will train the parents how to deal with the boy. Who is this that you're dealing with? What is this creature? And I put it like that, not to degrade our boys, but who is the boy? I put it to you that most of us nowadays do not understand who we are dealing with when it comes to the boy. And so we put boys and girls in the same category. But boys are different from girls. I mean, anatomy tells you that boys are different from girls. And so in addition to that, they have different learning curves. Every boy has a different learning curve. And so we have to treat every boy differently from the other boy. And then, of course, we have to separate them from the girl. I believe that we need to begin to move now in this country where we have separate gender schools.
Really?
Yes, ma'am.
Wow. Why do you think that's necessary?
Yes, ma'am. I think that's one of the distractions that we have with some of our boys now. Now, of course, I know that they need to relate and they need to have that kind of collaboration with girls and all kind of stuff and that kind of thing, of course. But at the same time, I believe if we separate some of the classrooms and have it where boys are by themselves, especially those that are at risk, where they can be focused. They can be focused on what the task is. If they're going into the technical area, let's separate those boys and have them focus on completing the task that is before them. And so that's what I mean when I said we need to have a separate gender classrooms or schools where it's only boys or only girls. Now that may not be the same with every child, but I believe some of our children need to go in that direction.
Yes, and what I want to say, and I thank Reverend Sammy Roll. He has been in the vineyard with boys for years, from that time. And I first got to know him from Boys Brigade. So you see, he's a product of Boys Brigade, just like myself and many others. And he now himself has an organization. He said over 1,200 boys in the school. And so this is what we need to change, to transform, to take a new start. More men stepping up, becoming mentors, father figures, whatever it is. And I think once we start that would make a difference.
Okay. The numbers to call once again, 326-0271, 326-0271. 326-0271 is the number to call. And if you'd like to send us a message on WhatsApp, that number is 824-9952. 824-9952. Once again, 824-9952. We're talking today about Boys to Men on this World Day of the Boy Child 2022 edition. The theme this year, boosting optimism, restoring self-worth, and saving our boys from shadows. Restoring self-worth. I know that you touched on that earlier, Bishop Roll, but I think it bears repeating in that if we, how do I say this? There's a saying that it is easier to, how does it go? Is it easier to bend a boy than break a man? Is that the correct saying?
Yes, it's similar along. Yeah, that's what they say. Yeah. The point is, if you start from young, and that's what we're doing, targeting young. What I want to say though to the event this evening, I wish persons listening to us, I want them to bring out their boys. We have a lot of we have some chicken on the grill, we have some soda, some water. We want to give away everything free. But the main thing is you want to hear from some speakers, persons, boys who made mistakes. They're now men. And they want to share their experience. And this is what is important. They want to share the mistakes that they made along the way as a preventative measure, so we can transform boys to men. If we can bend them now, bend the tree while it is young. Mm-hmm. You know, you don't have to wait till they're at their age. It took prison to break them. And that's what they're saying. Let's bend them right now.
Mm. All right, that is some powerful stuff. How much less would we have a problem with overcrowding of prisons if we would put more into developing self-worth in our boys?
I tell you, it would go a long way if we put self-worth in our boys. Telling them how valuable they are, expressing to them. One of the downfalls in our society that we have had over the years, Michelle, is the suppressing of the emotions of our boys. Straight across the board, we have had that suppression of the emotion. I've had the experience as well in my own home growing up. You were told or stop crying, boys don't cry, and this kind of stuff, and you're hurting. You fell down and you're hurting, and then some adult will tell you, do not cry. How in the world you are hurting and you're telling me not to cry? And then we call and we turn around, and the boy that cries a whole lot, we call them soft. There's a study by Dr. Michael Thompson. You could research it at some point. Michael Thompson, I've been following him over the years, and he did a research about baby boys. And it was the majority, and he did, I guess, over 200 or 300 case studies with baby boys versus baby girls. And it was discovered that boys cry more as children, as babies, than girls. Especially if they experience trauma or some type of distance from their parents. You can check it out. It is a research that has been proven that boys cry more than girls. But what has happened in our society, we have suppressed that emotion, and then, Michelle, we see it exploding when those boys become adults and they cannot relate to their female counterparts, cannot resolve conflicts, among their peers in school life. And then, of course, when they are married or they come into relationship with the opposite sex, they don't know how to relate, because over the years, we have suppressed their emotions. We don't allow them to express their emotions and cry and all the other stuff, and hug and kiss and all of that kind of stuff. I have a 26-year-old son. And I repeat what I said on the show earlier. That boy will come to me in public and he will kiss me, and he would hold me, and he want to wrestle with me. 26-year-old banker. And so we can't suppress those boys, our boys, any longer. We have to allow them to express themselves, allow them to come to terms with their emotion. It helps them a whole lot.
I would think that suppressing that is not good for them as it relates to their mental state. And could that be why we have so many mental challenges, it seems, with the men in our country? Because they have not been allowed to feel the emotion, or at least outwardly express the emotions that they're experiencing in their lives?
Yes, and I think this is why we have a lot of the conflict that takes place, because the violence, all of that which is buried down deep inside, and whenever something happens, that's when it comes up, and their response is lash out, whether it is the rape of women and girls, whether it's violence against another male, and because that's anger that has been suppressed, and now the opportunity to get it out. So I agree, if more men could understand that it's okay to talk, it's okay to cry, things like that, you get it out. And then all of us could testify in our personal life, when you go through your challenges and your struggles and you're able to talk and share it with others, you feel good, even though the problem hasn't gone away, but it gives you a good feeling.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to continue the conversation about boys to men on this, the World Day of the Boy Child. Our guests today are Bishop Sanford Rolle Sr. and Elder Dave Williams. We'd love to hear from you. The telephone number, again, if you'd like to ask a question or make a comment, 326-0271, 326-0271, or our WhatsApp line, 824-9952, 824-9952. So stay with us. We'll be back after these words from our sponsors. You're watching GPS.
Your body's immune system is under constant pressure from things like stress, lack of exercise, and toxins in the environment. It's crucial to be proactive and support your immune system with the nutrients it needs to function effectively. But it's often hard to get these nutrients from food alone. Introducing Fast Acting Zinc Plus Immune Support by Youngevity. Unlike zinc-only supplements, Zinc Plus Immune Support builds on the proven power of zinc and adds complementary nutrients to give your immune system extra support. Vitamin D helps balance the effects of zinc, while our proprietary blend of natural fruit and root extracts provides the extra help your immune system needs to work against daily stressors. And we've included Youngevity's exclusive plant-derived minerals to give your body the minerals it needs, but can't get from food alone. And because Zinc Plus Immune Support is delivered in a great-tasting, sugar-free, berry-flavored lozenge, it encourages quicker absorption of all these nutrients into your body. Zinc Plus Immune Support. Zinc plus the extra support your body needs to promote a healthy immune system. To learn more, contact your Youngevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for rims, paints, and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Tracklight, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires. Cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Blessed love.
It's gotten harder and harder to get your daily requirement of vital nutrients from food alone. Without additional vitamin and nutrient support, your health and well-being can suffer drastically. That's why Z-Radical was specifically formulated. It combines a blend of antioxidant-rich vitamins, minerals, and botanicals with the protective powers of fucoidan to help fill the gaps from lack of nutrients in your foods. The core of Z-Radical is fucoidan, a naturally occurring polysaccharide that helps stimulate immune reaction, protecting you against inflammation and oxidative stress. We harvest this powerful mineral-rich nutrient from brown seaweed, harvested only from the world's most pristine ocean waters to ensure the purest quality. It's then extracted using cold process technology to ensure maximum levels of bioavailability. Then we add essential vitamins that help to protect your cardiovascular and nervous systems and are crucial for optimal immune and neurological function. Z-Radical also includes a proprietary blend of delicious antioxidant-rich fruits and berries. This great-tasting combination helps your body combat free radical imbalances that can contribute to a variety of degenerative conditions like arthritis and heart disease. Z-Radical. Experience the power of fucoidan with antioxidant-rich berries, 8 essential vitamins, and more to provide you with potent health benefits. To learn more, contact your Youngevity associate.
Welcome back to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. My guests today are Bishop Sanford Rhodes Sr. and Elder David Williams, and we are talking about Boys to Men. And this is on the advent of the World Day of the Boy Child, which is being celebrated today. And so once again, the numbers to call if you'd like to ask a question or chime in with a comment of your own. The number to call would be 3260271, 3260271, or our WhatsApp line is 824-9952, 824-9952. So there are 10 core principles of World Day of the Boy Child. Some of them we've touched on so far in the conversation. Number 1, educating and mentoring, we've touched on. Number 2, honoring boys who are talented and achievers. 3, rescuing boys from poverty and war. Now, you may say we don't have a problem with war in this country, but that's not necessarily true. I remember Pastor David Allen saying that our teenagers in this country are suffering from PTSD, post-traumatic stress syndrome, which is usually associated with people like who've been to war. Yeah. And that's because they are pretty much in a war zone, just trying to survive in these communities where you've got the gang activity, you've got, all of the negativity and all of the, the gang banging and this and the next. They're in a war zone. And so how do we rescue boys from poverty and our own version of war in this country? What do we have to do to rescue them?
Go ahead, Bishop. Go ahead.
All right, good. And so what do we have to do to rescue our boys from this poverty and
war?
And when you talk about war, and you're definitely right, Ms. Malcolm. I got a call from a school a couple of weeks ago, and the principal told me about the struggle that some of the boys were faced with on their way to and from school. They had to pass through certain communities, and they were afraid. And so the boys started to arm themselves. And of course, you know that you have security features at the school and whatnot, security guards and the like. And so upon searching those boys, they would find that they would have edge tools. And when she dug into what was happening with these boys, he found out that they had to pass through a war zone on their way to school. And they said, if they want to come out alive, they have to guard themselves.
Wow.
And so she reached out to us and she said, I need some men. I need some men to go into these communities alongside the street where these boys have to travel and just be a presence. You don't have to say anything. Just be a positive presence so that those boys can feel secured. They can feel some sense of safety as they transition from one area to the next just to get to school. And so you're absolutely right that some of our boys and some of our communities are a war zone. And so what do? We have to rise up as a community of men that will try to be that saving grace, be that in-between person, be that person that will stand in the gap and protect those boys from harm and danger. And it takes literally work. I mean, we could pray and all that kind of stuff, but prayer isn't enough. We need to get out there and put some shoes on our prayers.
Yeah.
Yes,
that's why they say faith without works is dead, you know. And I believe in the power of prayer, but you gotta hit the ground running sometimes and actually, you know, put boots to the ground and work. Go ahead, Elder.
Yes, well, definitely I agree with what Bishop said, and definitely there has to be action, right? But for me, one of the things I'm still trying to figure out, right, is why is it so different with the government and the private school? How is it that we don't have this same challenge, at least to that level, with the private school that we have with the government school? And so I'm wondering, is it that parenting has a lot to do with it? Because my kids went to private school, right? And I never had a problem, and with two boys. But I'm just wondering, how is it that we have this thing with government and not with private? So if it is parent, I don't know. If it is parenting, then I guess the problem now falls back on us as parents in terms of the way we train up our children, the way we socialize our children. I don't know, the environment that they grow up in. You know, maybe Bishop will work more with the boys can tell me what's the difference with private and the public school. We don't have this problem.
I saw him nodding his head as you were saying parents, so let's let him dive in.
Yes. My kids went to private school as well, and Brother Dave, I had to, either me or my wife, we had to deliver our children in the teacher's hand. And then when it's time to pick them up, you, a parent, would come, or if you did not come, and I'm talking about my kids went to even high school, private schools, but you had to give an account for who was delivered into the hand. Even if a grandparent or aunt or uncle would get that child from school, you had to call ahead and say, oh, my brother, or this particular person, give the name, whatever, of that person that's coming. And so I think that was a part of what was taking place. And then, of course, what you said, parents, I don't know, maybe because you had to pay the school fee, and so you wanted to ensure that your child was in school. But for the most part, parents play a pivotal part in the rearing of their children, delivering their children to school, private schools, whether that means taking their lunch break to pick up and drop off or whatever like that. It's not so in the public school. The irony is that most parents in the public school, they take it as a daycare center. They use it as a daycare center. It's just a place to send my child while I'm to work or doing whatever I have to do during the day. I mean, we have stories of children that go to school for a whole year and no parents show up to PTA, no parents show up to any type of meeting or anything to check on their child, see how they're doing, whatever like that. And it just goes like that. And so you have two variables where the parents are not checking, and so it puts a burden on the child to have to manage school all by themselves. Whereas the parents should be the primary person. I repeat what I said earlier. The primary educator for that child should be the parent. And so we have to go back to that type of home training and all of that, where we care about our children. If we're going to take them through the educational system, we have to be there for them.
So what you're saying then, do you think that will help to address core value that would be number 4, eradicating illiteracy and underachievement?
Yes, ma'am.
Parental involvement, do you think, plays a major role in that?
Parental involvement. You ought to be the first teacher of your child to learn how to read and write and spell and all of that kind of stuff. Even if they at a certain age, you find that they have a knack for the technical field, at least they will have the basic from their home to know that they know how to read and to write and to add. And all of that they would need, even if they go into the technical field.
You know, and even as we're talking, you know, I have my 15-year-old son with me right now, you know, taking him somewhere, and he's listening, and I just appreciate that he's getting a lot of the stuff firsthand, you know, and this is why it's so important that us as men, as father figures, you know, because we you know, they may say we keep talking about parental involvement, but it is key. I was with my 15-year-old from the day he was born, now going to his PTA meetings, checking with his teachers, you know, and if we can have more of the parents, but in particular the fathers, our men, or where a father's not around, a father figure, uncle, grandfather. And I believe that this is the reason from then to now, the same 15-year-old who's in the car with me, you know, I never one day had to go up to school for any challenges. There was never no negative report. So I honestly believe that this is a big reason why he has stayed away from that, the negative consequences that our children, in particular our boys, are faced with.
All right, good stuff. Okay, so let's look at the next core value, which is addressing discrimination against boys. What kind of discrimination against boys is out there? What are we not aware of?
Discrimination against. You were going to say something about it?
No.
Okay,
you go ahead.
All right. Yeah. So some of the discrimination that we find, and I think I began to touch it earlier, and this is a pet peeve for me, Miss Malcolm.
Mr. Gady.
Our educational system, where our boys, there's not enough. For me, there's not enough options for our boys. Everyone, if they're not lining up with the academic, I guess, parameters that are set. If they're not at a certain level, they're just pushed to the back. They're pushed to the back. They're pushed through the system, and a lot of our boys come out of school frustrated because I call it discrimination, because they have not been given an opportunity to tap in to the God-given ability and skills that were built into them. I mean, we said over and over again, and I know you're a mentee of Dr. Miles Monroe, that talks about all of us are born with a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And that purpose for some boys may be in the technical field. But if our educational system tells that boy, if you are not an A student, if you're not a B student, you are going to be pushed through this system, and whatever happens, that's on you. And so I see that as a form of discrimination that we need to look at in our nation, to sort of bring our boys out of that category so that they feel a sense, we talked about it earlier, a sense of self-worth. Go back to one of those core values. They feel a sense of self-worth because they can accomplish something that they believe is their passion. That's their calling. And so I think that's one of the things that we need to look at, Ms. Malcolm.
And in light of that, one of the things too to add to it is that I think we need more opportunities for technical scholarships. My oldest son was the benefit of a technical scholarship by Lyford Key Foundation because he went on to do auto mechanics in West Palm Beach, right? Lincoln Tech. And at the time, actually, when he got that, I was not even aware that they were actually giving technical scholarships. So the point is, that's a way, if we could boost more technical scholarship, it gave a lot more boys an opportunity to go off and study who are not necessarily academically inclined. And I think also we need to add more to BTVI and get us much more boys there. And let's begin from guys in the inner city. You see a lot of them, Michelle Bishop, who we've worked with, and I particularly keep my mind on persons who have been incarcerated. They're not to that level where they can get into, they don't have the BJCs and the GCs. But if we have programs, second chance programs, that we can put them into directly, right, along the line, technical. Let's just say we have a grant setup where I know Mark Turnquist and William Land and Denver Pratt tried this sometime. When these young boys come out of school, we take them on some entrepreneurial training. When they finish, they get a grant, let's say $1,000, $1,500. They can therefore go seed money, start their own small business. And who knows where that business would go from there. So yes, the discrimination is a lot more focused on academic and less on technical. And if we could necessarily not balance it, but if we could at least put more resources into technical, that would make a big difference in this country.
Are there other forms of discrimination against boys that we're not aware of or that are not as prevalent?
Yes, there is.
Okay.
And,
what are they?
let me give a disclaimer that I am a supporter of the police. In fact, I served in the police department for a few years. And so I'm a supporter of the police. But there is other forms of discrimination, even from our police department. It seemed like a spirit that has traveled around the world. And so it has also begun to creep into our community. This same son that I talked about earlier, my son that shows so much emotion when he comes around his father. This same son often complained to me because he has a sort of sports vehicle. Michelle, please keep in mind that this boy is a banker and has his own small business.
Mm-hmm.
But because he is driving a sports vehicle. He said he has been harassed by police on a number of occasions.
Wow.
Pull out of his car and questioned and just harassed because he's a young man that's driving. And so that's a form of discrimination where we think that every young man that has a sports car or is doing well, they must be into drugs or guns or something. We have to stop this in our community, even looking down on our boys, on our young men that may not look like we look, may not look like how I and Pastor Dave looks. They may have a role up here, but I put it to you that a lot of these young men, they are good, upstanding young men. Just choose, I can just let my hair grow. So we can't discriminate against them and think, oh, that's a bad boy, because we have it in our church. And we don't discriminate against them. That's the way of our young men nowadays. They like the nappy head. That don't mean that they are bad boys. And so those are some of the discriminations that we have to look at in our community.
And just to support what you said, because I think of, it's amazingly, I think of my son, right, who has the locks, says he has the lock, twist, plait, whatever they call it, right? Now, that's something in my days that was shunned upon. And he's a teacher, trained teacher, went away to study, come back on COB. He's a trained teacher in one of these schools. But once again, like you say, he's a easy target simply because he has the locks and the twists. So, in a small way, and when we think of it, when we were younger, the officers were just 18, 19-year-old, just standing up, the officers would grab us, and, and the young men today face the same thing. So I guess that's another way we look at it in terms of a little discrimination against our boys.
Not only that, but Dave, the generation that we are with now, Miss Malcolm, they're not going to take it like we did. Our children now are more vocal. They're going to respond. They're going to talk to the police and say, well, why you stop me? Because some of them know their rights.
Right.
Unlike us, who were sort of naive, and so we would simply comply and whatever. And this is not to discredit or to encourage our children on bad behavior or to disrespect the law or anything like that. We try to encourage them. If the police stop you, just submit yourself, whatever they ask you to do, answer or whatever like that. That's what I do with my son, even at 26.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. The telephone number to call, 326-0271. 326-0271 is the number to call if you'd like to ask a question or make a comment. And the WhatsApp line is 824-9952. 824-9952 is the number to send us a message if you want to communicate via WhatsApp. We're talking today, Boys to Men, on this, the World Day of the Boy Child. And my guests are Bishop Sanford Rolle Sr. and Elder David Williams. Talking about what we should be doing here in the Bahamas to better empower the boys in our country so that they can become better men. We're all guilty of complaining that men need to step up to the plate and men need to, do this and men need to do that. But if we're not looking at the boys who will eventually become the men, then I dare say we're talking to hear ourselves. Because it's got to start with the boys.
Yes.
And so hopefully this show today will help us to understand, number one, why it's so important for us to put some emphasis on the boys and not just focus on girls and women. And number two, the understanding the long-term implications that such attention could have, or the lack of that attention could have. And I think we have more than enough evidence of the lack of that attention, because I think that's a major part of what we're seeing go wrong in our society today, where so many of our young men just seem to be lost quite frankly, because they have not had an example set for them as to what it means to be a good man. And so that's what we're talking about today. We'd love to hear from you. Again, the telephone number is 3260271, 3260271, and the WhatsApp number is 824-9952, 824-9952. We are going to take a quick break, and then on the other side of the break, we're going to continue to look at, oh, we have a caller on the line. Caller, welcome to GPS. Great, how are you?
I'm okay. You barely hear you. You know what I mean?
We can hear you well, though. Go ahead.
Yeah. Good day to you, I guess. This show today, listening, I say my call and beat you up, but I say, boy, this is a great show. But I mean, Michelle, your guest is doing a good job, you know. But only one thing I got wrong with it, you know, because then he said that he get the little boy and teach him to take a tie off, and while he's taking a tie off, what he does is beating up the ear a bunch of scripture. I mean, we should also have freedom of religion, man. I mean, it's like the parent is the one who would choose anyone who under 18 what religion they would choose. But then my irony with you, Michelle, is that, I mean, I'm knocking on, right? But my irony is not just the station, right? But you know what? It seems as if it's only Christians and church and the Bible and Jesus Christ who have the solutions. And from the time I remember myself, it's the preacher and all of them with all the talk like that, who had all these different institutions such as your guest. But I mean, I guess they're doing a good job. I ain't knocking them, right? But what I'm saying is that how come in this country there is only one set of people who get to even contribute in this country with solutions? Because I hear your guests talking about the technical aspect. That's a very good thing. But you know what? Then these kids go around your place. What do you teach them? You teach them about taking up tires. What else do you teach them? Basketball. What else do you teach them? You know what I see? And I tell you no lie, right? You know, especially the boys, right? Like I guess the saying their hands on is correct, right? And you know what? I see like not disabled. You putting these kids in a place to be indoctrinated, right? But put them in a space where they can be like disabled, learn how to build a boat, feel like water all around us, okay? And once you get these kids into something like that, you will see the manifestation of that without putting any religion, no politics, no anything, and with just the pure inspiration. And I think it will go further.
Okay, let's talk about. Oh, you had another point you wanted to make?
No, I mean that's what I see. But then yes, we're on the right track. But then I mean something like that because you got water all around, and I mean that's like the figure for not to be on the land like a job. If you build a boat and you can go out there and I mean like you can inspiration people around you and whatever, right? You can go out there. You can actually make a business. You can actually make money. Okay. I mean, something like that. Because, I mean, in any station, that's not offering out the basketball and certain Bible. And I mean, man, you then need something different, man.
Okay, let's let our guests respond. Thank you so much for calling.
Okay.
May I chime in on that? My response to the guest, I mean, the caller, with all due respect, I don't think we hardly mentioned God and the Bible while we were in our conversation today. However, just to let you know, caller, that what we teach our boys are right in line with what you're talking about. In fact, during the COVID, for the last 2 years in the boys club that we run, our boys were able to start small, develop, write business plans, and start small businesses in this COVID environment. I have about 10 boys in my program that have developed small businesses, whether that's in technical drawing, in lemonade stand, window cleaning, a number of other programs that we teach our boys, and we don't only teach them, we show them how they could turn that passion into a business. And so, my brother, it's being done. We don't call the media when we do it. We don't call the news station when we do it. But we do it because this is the calling that God has placed on our lives. And so it's happening, my brother. It's happening right in our face. And so, and then, of course, because of the work that we do, we are, other persons that may have other belief systems or anything like that, I'm sure they are free to do whatever programs they want to do to help develop our children in this nation. We choose to do it from our vantage point, from our church perspective. Others can do the likewise from whatever perspective. We have freedom of religion. You're right about it.
There's room for more. In other words, nobody's stopping them from coming forward and making a positive contribution. Elder Dave, you wanted to add to that?
Oh, yes. Well, first of all, I understand everything that the gentleman said, and I just want him to always understand too that for me, from a Christian perspective, I don't make no apologies for that, and I believe that at the end of the day, only what is done for Christ is last. We use this. I don't believe in singling out no denomination or no church per se, but I also recognize that when this life has come to an end, the only thing that will matter is eternal life. Right? Where you can spend, we call it heaven or hell. So my point is, as a Christian, that's what you're going to get from me. That's what you expect from me. But Christianity takes care of the whole man. We just talked about faith without works being dead. So we don't only share Christianity, because if you only share Christianity and the brother can't earn a dollar or whatever, then we would have failed. And the Christ that we serve not only preach a relationship with him, he always catered to the whole band. He says, seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness and everything else. So I point and all my groups, I point people to Christ for a personal relationship. But if they don't, it's their choice. I respect their choice. But we also share with them. When I go to prison, example, I run a job readiness. I've been running that now for the last 7-8 years, except COVID stop it, where I prepare these individuals for when they come out of prison, how to start small business. What I can't teach them, I would bring in speakers, how to follow a national insurance form, how to follow the passport form, how to dress for an interview. So I'm saying to you, these opportunities are open for the men, they're open for the boys likewise, but everything will be guided by Christian principles.
Okay, we are going to take a quick break. And then on the other side of the break, we're going to continue to look at the core values on the World Day of the Boy Child. So stay with us. This is GPS. We'll be back after these words from our sponsors.
Understanding your microbiome, also known as your gut ecosystem, can change everything you thought you knew about nutrition, digestion, immunity, and metabolism. Keeping your gut ecosystem healthy and balanced is essential. Ultimate Microbiome by Youngevity was specifically formulated to optimize this ecosystem. It provides the advanced support your gut needs through prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic supplementation. Our unique blend of probiotics includes Lactobacillus and Plantarum, healthy bacteria that can help prevent harmful bacteria from taking over your gut. Increasing your gut's population of beneficial bacteria creates a more balanced gut microbiome, which has been shown to aid in weight loss, skin health, sleep, mood, and may even help with seasonal allergies. Ultimate Microbiome also promotes the production of postbiotics. Postbiotics are key to help regulate your gastrointestinal health. To enhance digestion, Digizyme Multi-Enzyme Complex, a blend of 5 specific enzymes, has been added to Ultimate Microbiome. It can help break down food so your body can better absorb nutrients. Plus, we've added our proprietary I-26 Hyperimmune Egg Powder to aid in the elimination of disease-causing gut bacteria and help your body balance its immune response. Ultimate Microbiome, the scientific, proprietary, and holistic approach to gut health that helps optimize your body's entire gut ecosystem. To learn more, contact your Youngevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for rims, tints, and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Tracklight, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires, cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Last is love.
To stay healthy, it's crucial to make sure you get the nutrition you need every day. But it's difficult to get all your recommended vitamins and minerals from food alone. Even in the United States, 94% of people are deficient in at least one nutrient. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 by Longevity is a simple, convenient, and affordable way to help your body get the essential nutrients it needs. It's an advanced plant-driven multivitamin mineral complex that contains certified organic whole foods, trace minerals, and antioxidants. BTT 2.0 supports your body's natural defense system with a proprietary blend of energy-boosting and body-loving nutrients, plus prebiotics, probiotics, amino acids, and enzymes that support digestion. With an unusually high ORAC score of 8,000, you get even more antioxidants to help combat free radicals that can cause damage to your cells. But to get the most benefit and value from any multivitamin, your body must be able to break down the nutrients so you can fully absorb them. Otherwise, they'll just pass through your system without doing any good. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 was specially formulated with synergizing cofactors to ensure you get maximum nutrient absorption. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 is the easiest way to give your body the balance and complete daily vitamin mineral supplement it needs for optimal support of your overall health. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
This portion of GPS is brought to you by Tiki Bikini Hut at Junkanoo Beach. Great food, cool tropical drinks, and family fun in the sun.
Welcome back to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. Michelle Malcolm here, along with Bishop Sanford Rhodes Sr. and Elder David Williams on this, the World Day of the Boy Child. And we are talking about boys to men. We need to pay attention, nurture, empower boys so that they will become better men. And so the telephone number to call in case you'd like to ask a question or you have a comment to make, 3260271, 3260271, 3260271, and our WhatsApp line is 824-9952, 824-9952. Continuing now, talking about the core values of the day. One of them, this would be core value number 6, promoting positive minds and healthy boys. Now, y'all know I'm big on nutrition, right? As a certified holistic health coach, that's my thing. The importance of nutrition. And there are more and more studies that are coming out that are showing the connection between lack of nutrition and mental stability. And I look at the madness that is happening in our society, particularly as it relates to this gang war and all this other craziness going on. And I can't help but wonder how much of our poor nutritional program, our poor nutritional lifestyle, I should say, our culture as it relates to eating poorly, how much of that is impacting the mindset of our young people and young men, especially. What are your thoughts, gentlemen?
Most definitely, Ms. Malcolm. I certainly agree with you that our eating habits, our poor, healthy lifestyles can definitely have an influence on our behavior, our ability to cope, ability to reason. All of these, I believe, has implication on how we relate to one another. Animal foods, all that kind of stuff. And certainly us eating a healthy diet, having a healthy diet. We learned it in school. But again, the reality is a lot of our families are, and I know lately we've been trying to, in this nation, try to promote backyard farming and all of that kind of stuff so that persons can grow their own food and have that food that they can grow right in their yard. But of course, we know that affordability has somewhat to do with it, even in our various communities, in the food store and whatnot. And so our parents, they prefer to buy the foods that they can afford, which is for the most part unhealthy. Unhealthy foods. And so it's important for us to encourage our parents and even our children to eat healthy foods. When we have socials for our boys and whatnot, we try to include some type of healthy food in that nutrition as well, because we know that that can also have a bearing on our behavior.
Right.
You know, I'd like to address exercise, and it's so key, and it's good when we get our boys involved in sports, right? Because, as you know, it is a good emotional and mental healing. Now, I am a big proponent of health, I myself, and as you know, as Bishop know, I'm a member of the Advent faith. And anyone who knows anything about the Advent faith, you know, we're big on healthy lifestyles. And I myself, who have actually stayed away from the animal product for the last 20 years, you know, and I that along with exercise, I believe is the reason why I consider myself in pretty good shape, being 50 plus, right? But translating it to our boys, so we ought to get our boys more involved, get them involved in more healthy activities. As a matter of fact, this evening, a part of the event, I like how the rain is hold up. We are having an outdoor event where we want to also encourage them to play a little ball, shoot a little 3-point contest, free throw, because we want to keep these young boys active. You know, and Michelle, I'm sure you and Bishop would agree, sports has been a way out for many persons when there's nothing to do. When you come from school, and I watch my son, who I told I just drop off to basketball, I watch the same trend with me. You go to school, when you come home, you get something to eat. If you have your homework, you do your homework. And then you go on the basketball court or the soccer or whatever field. And that helps prepare you not only physically, but it helps prepare you mentally. And then the meanwhile, you're guiding and directing them along the way with their diet. Now, I would agree that has been a challenge with these young, because they so used to fast food, they want it 3 times a day and twice on Sunday, if possible. So that's an area we all face challenge with. And I think a part of it too is we as parents, this is where we get the blame. Or let me be myself. Growing up in the house with 4 children, and in my house, you know, everybody wants to have something different. And we know growing up, you never had that choice. Mommy prepared a healthy meal for you.
Whatever she cooked, you eat.
Yeah, grits and corned beef. But today, everybody wants to go in the kitchen and prepare their own stuff. And you wouldn't mind if it was a healthy meal. But no, they're not interested in that. So health, being healthy mentally and physically, I mean, that's a big difference, because if you don't do it now, when you get much older, it will show. Lifestyle is a key thing.
Yeah,
most definitely. We talked about the catering to the whole man, and that includes healthy living as well.
Yes.
For me, more so now than ever, as we grow older, we realize that we have to take care of this body. In fact, we cannot minister effectively if we in a broke down, just to put it in Bahamian vernacular, if we are in a broke down body.
Yes.
The body is always in pain, always got some kind of ache. You're hopping, you're skipping because of pain and all that kind of stuff. You can't even minister effectively. You can't even keep up with these boys if you are not healthy. And so one of the core values of our boys club, Michelle, is activity. We keep our boys moving. We spend during our club time, we usually have an hour and 15 minutes. And during that entire time, we move the boys around about 3 or 4 times, depending on what activity we are in. We move them around. And so we don't ever allow the boys to sit in a space for more than half an hour. Except we're having probably a presentation. And even with that, we zero that down. Most will say half hour. those boys ready to move. And so we got to put them in a different space, let them run around outside, have some social time, have some time that they can what we call release some of that energy.
Mm-hmm.
And they keep themselves out of trouble like that. By the time they get home, they're less problem on their parents. They go sleep because they're burnt out.
I hear that. Good stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Core value number 7, offering freedom and safety. I think we pretty much touched on that. Core value number 8, championing equity and equality. I find that very interesting because usually when you hear of the word looking for equity and equality, it's usually the opposite sex, the females, that are crying out for that. And I find it amazing that we're here having this conversation today as it relates to the male, because usually that's not what you think. You think that you remember the song by what's his name? I forget the man who used to sing that. It's a man's world. What's his name now? What the man name?
I remember his name, but I know the song you're talking about. But
James Brown. It was James Brown used to sing that, right?
Oh yes, that's correct, right?
Yeah. So we don't generally think that men need equity or equality. So explain this to us, please.
Let me share. I spoke last year. I spoke at the Zonta Club at an event where Office of the Spouse spoke, Lady Anne Marie Davis, and so when I got to speak, they invited me as a male to speak, and so when I get to speak, when it was my opportunity, I said to them, I say, listen here, we talk about, and there was a Zonta Club, and it was with a town in Orange and violence against women and girls, and I said, and this is the inequity that has taken place, and I raised the question while I was speaking. I said, I here to support you. I've worked with the Department of Gender and Family Affairs, but I say, what about our young men? We're talking about the violence against the women and girls, but what about the young men? I said, these young men are dying daily. They are our sons, our fathers, our brothers, our uncles. So if there's any way I could use to say that's about an inequity or inequality, that would be when we seek to address situations like that. The same time and resource and energy into the violence against women and girls, we need to do likewise because the men slaughtering each other on the streets.
I see Bishop is nodding his head in agreement. Bishop, you want to add to that?
Yes. And you talk about equity. I want to chime in on the equity part.
Yes, please.
And when we talk about equity, we're talking about what is already built in. What is that? What worth is in that boy child? And so we want to tap into what is already built in. What do we have to offer? And so we want to explore, what does that boy have to offer? Get in a conversation with them, examine, question them about what they have to offer. And then, of course, you want to explore that in bringing out that equity, exposing their qualities. The gentleman that talked about the giftings and abilities and having the ability to start business and whatnot. All of that is equity that's already built into the boy child. But we need to put them in the right environment, need to have the right people around them. And then, of course, we need to pour in the resources. When you talk about equality, need to pour in the resources. I talked earlier about technical schools that is geared towards enhancing those boys in the technical field. I know it's going to be costly for us to be able to do that in the Ministry of Education because we're strapped, so we say, with finances now, and but we got to tap into some other resources that we already have. We talk about equity. Michelle, you're taking me on a different vein now. We have to tap in to the resources that we already have existing in this country, and then channel those resources towards our boys in developing them to meet their goals. But again, we squeeze ourselves right in that little box, the tourism box. I know that's a different subject, but
no, I'm glad you went there. I'm glad you went there. This is why we're here to talk about it. It may not be.
So we got to look at the resources that we have in this nation. I tell you, if we start to look at the different natural resources and give incentives for our young men to tap into those resources rather than discounting it, we will find that many of our young men would gladly go into the technical field, farming, fishing, whatever, mining, aragonite, whatever. We know the different natural resources that already exist in this country. Incentivize it, monetize it, and then use that resources to build our society.
All right. Sounds good. All right. We're running out of time, only 9 minutes left, and we have 2 core values to cover. Core value number 9, maintaining good values and morals.
Well, that's where the spiritual comes in. Yeah, ain't no doubt about it.
Right.
Pointing people to the one who can transform lives, because each individual is shaped. His moral value is shaped based on who it is he believes. And sometimes they use the word this higher power, which who we say is Jesus Christ. So as a result of it, you're guided by the principles, and all that you do is guided by the principles of Christ. That's all I'll say on that.
Okay. Bishop, you want to add to it?
So most definitely morals and all of that kind of stuff needs to be the overarching in all that we do. With the technical and training them with basic skills, all of that ought to be covered under the one main thing that we try to reach these boys is to reach them for Christ. That's what we do in our Life Little Boys program. It's about reaching our boys for Jesus Christ, so that at the end of the day, no matter how small they are, they know that they have to give an account for their soul. Once they can understand the difference between right and wrong, they will give an account. And so that's the type of training that we teach our boys. We teach them how to pray, how to communicate with God, and how to have a relationship, a personal relationship with Him. Everything else, the Bible says, will pass away. Only what is done for Christ will last.
Final core value, and I guess everything that we have discussed on the show today, combined, put together, all feed into this final core value, which is empowering boys.
Empowerment.
What else can we do to empower boys in our communities?
I'll let Bishop go first. So go ahead, Bishop.
Is there anything to be missed?
Okay, and so I'll leave the wrap up for Brother Williams. All right, and so some of the things that we can do to empower our young men is to affirm them. That's one thing we want to start with. We want to affirm them. It's time out now for putting our boys down. Yes, some of them may make some mistakes. Some of them, how many of us can raise our hands and say, even as adults, we don't make mistakes? But we cannot continue to push our boys down, degrade them, talk bad to them. And I mean, we've heard parents even cursing at their children. And so those are some of the things that we need to institute to empower our boys. Give them positive stuff to look forward to. Like I said, affirming them, telling them when they do something right, we praising them, we lifting them up, we celebrating with them when they make accomplishments, when they make an effort, even if they don't hit the target. If they as much as make an effort, you want to celebrate that. Michelle, I recently, my grandson is in T-ball, and I've been to a T-ball game yesterday, and I watched the coaches affirming those little 3 and 4-year-olds just for making the effort. I mean, some of them were striking out. And at the end of that strikeout, you see them dapping. They dapping them and say, good effort, good job, good job. Those are the sort of things. And this that gave me hope, because the majority of coaches, I don't know if you ever been to the place out here, Freedom Farm. The majority of coaches out there were men.
All is well.
They were men that were pouring in to those little boys and teenage boys, and it's mostly a boys program. And so those are the sort of things that we need to do to affirm our boys and pour into them so that they become all that God wants them to be and all that this nation needs.
It reminds me of a commercial that used to air some years ago, with this father watching his young son play in his first soccer game. You know, they showed first him training the boy and how to play the game and all this kind of stuff, and then the kid is put in his first soccer game and he plays miserably. And so the father's on the sideline saying, no, don't do this. Oh, man. And the father's getting all upset. And so when the game is over, the little boy comes up to him, and the dad is thinking this kid is going to be devastated. So the father says to the little boy, are you okay? And the boy says, I was awesome. He didn't even know he did a bad job.
That's right. That's exactly what I'm saying. He's just happy that he was able to play.
I only got 3 minutes left. So Elder, I'm going to give you the final word on this. When you're talking about affirmation.
Yes, I just want to remind them, thanks. The plan is this afternoon.
Wait, hold on.
You saying something?
But let me just make this point. Yeah, let me just make this point. The affirmation of a father, not just affirmation. Even the Lord himself was affirmed by his father.
Oh, yes.
Remember the story when he was baptized. This is my beloved son in whom I am well pleased.
Yes.
And so how important is the affirmation of a father figure? And then you can talk about the event today. We only got 2 minutes left.
Well, I'll let Bishop talk, but I'll just talk with the event. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, affirmation of a father is so very important. The son needs to hear that. He needs to hear his father's voice. If it's not his father, it's some other positive male voice needs to be in his head. So he knows that voice. It affirms him. It causes him to know that there's someone of his liking. God created us in his image and in his likeness. And so the same thing applies with us and our sons, us and the boy child.
Elder?
They are in our likeness. And so they need to hear from us. Thank you so much, Michelle, for your time today.
Running out of time. Elder, Dave, tell us about the event today, real quick.
Right. So it's this evening, 5 o'clock in the next hour at Salem Baptist Church. So we're inviting persons to be out. Bring your boys. We got a number of speakers. The rain is held up. So I think we're going to have an awesome event. We have all the refreshments. It'll be free. And so I want to just invite those persons. Don't meet us there. They ought to beat us there. Salem Baptist Church, Taylor Street. It's an outdoor event.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for being a part of GPS today. And thank you for the work that you're doing with boys and men. And I pray your strength in the Lord, like the old people that say, that you will continue to go strong, because we desperately need it. Thank you so much.
Thank you again, Michelle.
All right. Have a good one. So that's our show for today. Tomorrow, we're going to have the director of labor on that was supposed to be on last week. Well, as you know, I was out. So now he's going to be on tomorrow. And I'm looking forward to a really great show. That's our show. That's our time. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care and have a good afternoon.
Global 99.5 FM reminds our listeners that the views and opinions expressed on this show are